We've made the call to attempt a shortcut, avoiding the long haul south on the PDR, and the plan is to try and cut through from Artemis Station down to Karumba in the Gulf. We're going to follow a lesser known track that's got to cross the Mitchell River. Now, we knew there was a chance that the crossing wasn't going to be passable, and if it's out, we're going to be faced with a tough decision: to detour or to backtrack hours back to the PDR with our tail between our legs. What we weren't banking on is that the road itself hasn't seen any maintenance since the last wet season, potentially even the one before that. Now, despite the uncertainty, the detours and the rough track, the route's already rewarded us with one of the most spectacular remote national parks that we've ever visited. Fuel range is going to get tight, daylight's going to fade, and camp options are slim on the ground. The destination hasn't changed, but the road certainly has. Alright, this has turned into quite an adventure. We've been on the road for 5 hours and we've gone 120 k's. We've still got quite a long way to go. We've still got to get out to this river. This is what we signed up for though. I love this stuff. Liz is extremely stressed. She's not enjoying it as much, but I do love it, and it's paid us some rewards. That lagoon and stopping in there was awesome. Now we're just pulling up on some people here. We might just see if we can. You fellas know if the crossing up here is open, or is it we got to go down to Hughes Crossing?
Hughes Crossing, mate.
We can get there this way though, right?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Just coming around here now. Thanks, mate. I don't think backtracking's a good option. We're going to have to take this detour, which adds about 200 k's, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's probably about 400. It's probably about 4 hours of drive time. It's 3:45 in the Arvo at the moment. We can't really camp anywhere here. It's on private property. There's signs everywhere saying no camping, and they're doing a lot of burning off at the moment, so I wouldn't really feel safe just pulling up on the roadside here. So we're just going to push on and just see how far we can get, see if we can get through to some sort of camp on the riverside. For now, it's just keep driving. Although we make good progress on sections like we're on now, we're doing 70, 80 k's an hour in some sections. There's just so many washouts and obstacles and wildlife, cattle. It just slows your overall progress, your average travel time massively.
Now we're picking up the pieces. A 4-hour detour along the river to reach the next crossing. With road conditions improving considerably, our pace increased, but there was still plenty of delays.
I'm going to put this in low range because that looks pretty sloppy. This new route also came with its own challenge, the Palmer River. We'd been told we could make it across, but until we were safely on the side of both of these rivers, we weren't going to be able to completely relax.
So we're just coming up to the Palmer, a couple of roads on the road, to the Palmer River crossing that we're going to have to cross. So I'm not sure what it looks like. It should just be around this couple of next bends. Don't do it. Oh, don't do it. Look at them. Oh, I hope this is good. Oh God. That's not what I was up for. Oh, it's alright. It looks like it's got a concrete base.
Reaching the Palmer, we were relieved to find the crossing is a well-built and firm one. With the water levels sitting low, this was one of the easier decisions of the day, and we rolled through without any issues.
In the late afternoon light, the landscape came alive. The colours deepened, the shadows stretched, and for a moment, the challenges of the day felt a little lighter. My favourite shot. Yeah, there it is.
We were making good progress along the station tracks, and for the first time in hours, we felt hopeful that we'd reach the Mitchell before nightfall. Adventure's a word that gets thrown around a lot these days, and it means something different to everyone. It's shaped by your past, your risk tolerance, and how far you're willing to go to step outside your comfort zone. For me, there's nothing quite like pulling out a map, spotting a road or a track that's got no reputation, no reviews, and just letting the story unfold 1 kilometre at a time. This so-called shortcut that we're on is what adventure means for me. Before long, we'd finally made it. The Mitchell River, stretching wide before us, the long concrete causeway cut across this mighty river, and it was our last hurdle before rolling into camp. Here we are, finally, the mighty Mitchell River. It's about 6 o'clock at night now. We're almost run out of sunlight. But we'll get across here, and I damn hope there's a camp here. The crossing doesn't look too bad, flowing pretty fast, but yeah, we should be right to get across, I think. Let's go see. I'm ready for camp, I can tell you that.
It's pretty fast flowing. We rolled over just as daylight slipped away, and pulling into camp has never felt better.
Really weird feeling.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting pushed sideways.
Feels like it, eh?
Oh my gosh, what an adventure. We've finally just pulled into camp. We are all absolutely knackered. What an adventure. I reckon if you had a heart rate monitor on me today, I feel like I've run 3 marathons back to back. We'd like just the adrenaline from that road. Was it open? Was it not? I'm so glad we met those people working on the road that told us that it wasn't open. That's probably saved us a little bit of time. But also like that we had the fuel range to get here. What an adventure. All right, we're gonna have an early night and a few drinks. But yeah, we'll see you in the morning.
Let's try to roll thing in this bubble.
Yeah.
All right, a little while ago now, we installed a throttle controller in the Cruiser from the guys at iThrottle, and we've actually got 2 of these to give away. I'll give you more info on that in a minute. But what I liked about the iThrottle unit is it's completely different in its operation to any throttle controller I've seen or tried before. I'm not new to throttle controllers. I've dabbled around with them before. I'm a big fan of throttle controllers in general. If you've got no idea, what am I talking about? Throttle controllers. Essentially, a throttle controller is a unit that's going to get in between your accelerator pedal and the engine and change the signal that your throttle sends. It's not a performance upgrade. It doesn't change the performance of the engine, but you will find, or at least in my experience, what you'll find is that it does wake up a lazy vehicle. A lot of vehicles these days, especially in this drive-by-wire technology where the accelerator is really just sending an electrical signal to the engine, often they can be quite dull, and the accelerator pedal feel isn't always what you want and doesn't always suit the type of driving that you're doing, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of towing and four-wheel driving like we do. Having a throttle controller installed means that you can have some control over what that signal is and how it gets sent to the engine. So what effectively that means is that you can get a higher throttle response earlier in the stroke of the accelerator. Now, what's different about the iThrottle that I've never seen before is most of these throttle controllers, it's either a number or often an app as well that you have to use to change that throttle setting, or that set of settings that you want to use. The iThrottle uses this handy little screen here. Now it's a color display and it's there all the time on your dash, and you can see exactly what setting you're in, whether you're in towing mode or four-wheel drive mode or whatever it is, the mode that you're using, you can see it on the screen. And for me, that just changes the game completely, because with other throttle controllers, or at least in my experience, is that you end up just finding a setting and just leaving it there, because either you forget what each of the numbers mean and what the setting actually is, or you just don't want to be pulling out your phone every time you want to change the throttle setting on an app or something like that. So by having it up on the screen, on the display there, and being able to, it's nice and clear and easy to read and know exactly what setting you're in, and it means that you play around with it more and experiment with different settings more, but you're also more likely to change that setting to suit whatever style of driving that you're doing. So for me, the ones I'm using most are the tow mode. Obviously, when we're towing the caravan, that's the one that comes into play. And in each of the modes like that, you can change between a 0 or a 1 setting right up through to a 10. So you can play around and see which one suits you. I'm finding towing in around setting 5 or 6 is a real game changer, because what it means is that the full throttle or a higher throttle comes on a lot earlier, but the lower end, it doesn't change a lot at all. So effectively, it doesn't change the drivability too much when I'm driving around, but when we want to go and overtake, or when we come up to a hill, which is more often the case when we're towing with the van on, that higher throttle opening comes earlier in the stroke. So it's a lot easier to give it heaps to get up that hill. Some other cool features of the iThrottle in particular, which I haven't seen before, is the winch mode. Now, winch mode essentially means that if you're winching or doing something where you want a higher idle, you can change the throttle so that it sits at a higher idle, and each increment that you go up, it gradually increases that idle speed. And not just handy when you're winching to keep the revs high, to keep that alternator spinning around and keep the charge up to your battery, but also comes in handy if you use your car at idle to charge up your caravan or camper trailer or whatever it is. Being able to run that high idle means that you're going to be pushing more amps back into whatever it is that you're charging out back. Super quick and easy to install as well. It took me literally 5 minutes to do the full install from start to finish. The thing that took the longest is deciding where you want to put the display up on your dash. I like it nice and prominently displayed there. I found a cool little spot just there where it works in really nicely. And as I said, we're going to give away 2 of these iThrottles. So if you want to win one of those, pretty straightforward. All you got to do is scan the QR code that's on your screen right now, or click the link in the description below. That'll take you over to our website. As always, all you got to do is just enter your email in there so we know who to contact. Other than that, as long as you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you are in the draw to win that iThrottle controller. So we've got 2 of them to give away, like I said, and we're going to pick the winner at random. It's open to Australian residents only. It's going to run for 1 week only. And if competitions aren't your thing, or if you don't want to wait a week to get yours, we've also got a discount code there from iThrottle. They want to give you guys 10% off anything from the iThrottle website. So jump over there and grab yours today or enter the competition. And hopefully we'll be contacting you next week to say you're the lucky winner. Cheers, guys. Well, good morning. Thought I would just do a bit of a recap and sort of explain a bit about what went down yesterday, what we're actually trying to do, and how we ended up where we are. So the plan was to try and go from Artemis Station there, down this way, and down across, and that can bring us out at Karumba over here in the Gulf, on the very sort of western corner of the Cape. So that crossing, they've been building a new bridge across, and yeah, it was questionable when we left whether that was going to be open or not. We turned here and headed then along, basically following along the river. At Drumdrift Station there, we crossed the Palmer River and then down across here, across the Mitchell, and this is where we're camped now. I was looking yesterday, we did about 250 kilometres, and that took us about over 5 hours of actual driving time. So today's mission will be to run back up the development road, basically doubling back. This is about 100 kilometres, so about 2 hours of driving each way. So yeah, a fair detour, but yeah, we're going to head back up. I'm hoping now we're back on the developmental road, the Burke developmental road, that we'll be able to make a lot better time through Dunbar, back past where we would have crossed, and then continue down the developmental road down into Karumba. So the other thing with going through all those roadworks is they were keeping the road nicely wetted down to cut down on the dust and compact it. But now we've got a nice mud spray up the front of the van to add to all the dust. So that's going to be fun. It's stuck on well as well. So we got dust, and then we got a bit of mud, and then we got a lot more dust to stick to that mud, and then we got another lot of mud. So there's some nice layers going on. Harrison's enjoying on the rear bar. We get, because it's a horizontal surface, we get a nice pile up of dust on the back, and he likes to run his
Check out my sand dune model.
sand dune model, he calls it.
Or desert model.
Yeah, your desert model. It's like a little model desert, and he runs his fingers through, as you can see there, and you can see the different colours of dust that we've been through over the last few weeks, eh?
Yeah.
I was adding it up, I reckon.
To this desert model, I haven't touched it.
You haven't touched that one, so that's your desert model. So it's kind of how the desert would look, hey, when the desert forms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, so I reckon by the time we get off the dirt, it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to add it all up, but I reckon it'll be over a month since we aired down the caravan and haven't aired up since. And majority dirt, apart from those few little sealed sections of the PDR and Bamaga Road and the Northern Bypass and stuff. She's been predominantly dirt for weeks and weeks and weeks. The caravan and the car very much due for a wash. The car's not as bad. It got a few rinses during the telly track, but yeah, definitely going to be a big job to clean this thing up. The camera's virtually useless. That doesn't really work anymore. Hey, don't get too dirty, man. You've relayed it, have you? You're going to get covered in dust. Your mother's going to love you for it.
Now it's a pink desert model.
Pink desert model. All right, let's get in the car. Let's hit the road.
Day 2 on the road, and this stretch would be dominated by bull dust holes. If you've never seen one, they look harmless enough, just a patch of dirt on the track, but underneath they can be deep, soft, and ready to swallow a wheel without warning. For anyone towing, they're even trickier. The key is drop your speed early and avoid sudden braking. Give yourself plenty of room to react. Dropping a wheel in too hard and you're going to risk unsettling the caravan, or even worse, breaking something. Similar to other off-road obstacles, lowering your tyre pressures, engaging four-wheel drive and managing your speed are all going to make the difference here in keeping things under control. It's one of those hazards that doesn't look like much, but bull dust can be every bit as challenging as a water crossing.
We've been in the car for coming on 3 hours and coming up to 140 kilometres travelled.
So bad.
Now, if there's one thing I hate, it's backtracking. And here we are, tracing our way along the southern side of the Mitchell River, effectively rerunning the same ground we'd covered the afternoon before. Although we'd managed to avoid driving the same road twice, it wasn't lost on me that progress towards Karumba at this point was almost non-existent. It was a risk we took though, and it wasn't long before we turned west again and were closing in on the Gulf.
I love you, HF. Alright, for those of you playing along at home, I'm going to translate for you. Is coming up around the side of you. Is let me know when it's good to overtake. Got any other stuff?
Oh, mate just overtook us, and I knew what the radio call meant. I didn't hear the words. Liz was able to translate for me, but I think it was coming up alongside your cobber or something. Is that?
I think that's what
That's what it was.
It was definitely more of a that was more of the distinct sound that was made. But yeah, it's one of my special skills. I'm going to put it on my resume.
That's been quite the adventure.
Fuel light just came on.
Fuel light just came on. We've got
75 k's to go. Done 550 k's of pretty full-on driving. Something to keep in mind though, when you're hitting these outback roads, even though the average speed's quite low, you're running on low tyre pressures, you're running in four-wheel drive, and there's a lot of things to slow down for and speed up again, and you're often slowing right down to 10 or 20 kilometres an hour. Burns a lot of fuel, coupled with, yeah, like I said, the low tyre pressures and the running in four-wheel drive. So yeah, we burn a lot of fuel. It's pretty normal for us. Our fuel light comes on pretty early generally. There's still over 100 k's of range in our tank easily once that comes on, but I would say it's come on about 100 k's earlier than what it normally does, something like that, so gives you some idea. But definitely a trip for having good fuel range, that's for sure. We'll end up being about 625 k's roughly when we get there, and 200 k's of that was the detour, so it gives you some idea of how much that added to our trip. It's been another slow day in the car today, and we've done about 270 k's, and it's taken us 6 hours with a lunch stop, so probably 5 hours of driving to do that. So again, it's that 50k an hour average. All right, we're going to keep rolling in. Let's get into Karumba. Let's go see the Gulf of Carpentaria. Steve Barra Bistro. Thanks for the invite, Steve.
Rolling into Karumba felt like a reward itself. After days on remote tracks, checking into a caravan park meant a proper shower, a swimming pool, and a chance to reset before exploring the town. Karumba sits on the banks of the Norman River, right where it meets the Gulf of Carpentaria. It's a small town of less than 500 people, but it punches well above its weight. Known as the Barramundi capital of Australia, it is a hub for both commercial fishing and tourism. An art gallery? Stop it. With travellers flocking here for sunsets over the Gulf, bird life, and of course, the chance to land a barra. We headed to the Les Wilson Barramundi Discovery Centre. It's an interactive hatchery and education hub where you can learn about the life cycle of this iconic fish and get a sense of just how important they are to the region.
Learn a lot about Barramundi, Indigenous culture here, and Karumba itself. But yeah, some interesting stuff about Barramundi that we didn't realise. A lot of people might know this one, but they change sex, so they start out as male and then they become female. That not all Barramundi are the same. There's different subspecies of Barramundi, and the ones here are known as the Southern Gulf of Carpentaria Barramundi, and they all differ slightly. They can live in fresh or salt water. They can live in murky or clear water. They're not very fussy when it comes to water. They'll go in the shallows. They'll go up to 40 metres deep. They grow up to 1.6 metres long and up to 40 kilos. And imagine catching one of them. That's a stonking fish. And one of the best eating fish around. They'll eat just about anything, and they're kind of like the ultimate survivalists of the fish world. But yeah, really important part of what they do there is the restocking of the fishery. So it's a commercial fishery as well as a very important recreational fishery. And yeah, they do a lot of work to make sure that it's stocked and is sustainably fished. There's 4 months of the year they don't fish it at all to give the fish stocks a chance to breed and recover and do all of that. All very interesting stuff. Definitely worthwhile checking out when you're in town. Karumba, it's basically fishing capital, essentially, of the Gulf of Carpentaria, particularly or especially on the Queensland side. So yeah, if you're not into fishing like us, what's the next best thing you can do to catching a fish is eat one. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go get some fish and chips for dinner.
Fish and chips on the beach, watching the sun sink into the Gulf, it's the perfect way to mark not only the end of an epic shortcut, but the end of our Cape York journey. We've tackled this adventure a little differently from most, keeping off the main routes wherever we could. From the remote east coast to the wild beauty of Lakefield National Park, to the adrenaline and excitement of the Old Telegraph Track, and of course, standing at the very tip of Australia, the northernmost point. We've discovered some unforgettable campsites, spectacular swimming holes, and met incredible people along the way. Cape York has forged a special place in our hearts and exceeded every expectation. When we set off, we weren't sure if it truly deserved its reputation, but now we understand. It most certainly does.
Just a quick reminder that we're throwing a party and we would love for you to come and join us. Tickets are now on sale for the Pioneer Party running from the 14th to the 16th of November down there in Port Punker at Mount Buffalo. We cannot wait to see as many of you down there as possible. It is shaping up to be a really fun weekend.
Yeah, that's right. So the ticket includes 2 nights of camping, dinner both nights. There's heaps of games, prizes, giveaways and competitions that we've organised. Scan the QR code here on the screen or jump down in the description below. That'll take you over to our website. All the details are on there. That's where you can go to get your tickets. So grab yours today and we'll see you soon.
I think it's time for me